Are you in?
Yeah, we're in. We're just going to wait. Just give me a second. Good evening and welcome to Chasing Prophecy on UPRN FM 105.3 in New Orleans and 107.7 in New Orleans. I'm Jennie Nicasio along with my co-host Sean Kelly and John Ventry, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to add us to UPRN to your Roku device. Tune in live across America and beyond, and share the live link or drop a comment so we can see you in YouTube. Otherwise, we can't comment or answer your questions or even show your comments on live stream. We look forward to hearing from you. And good evening, guys. Welcome to Chasing Prophecy, another crazy night in my world.
Tuesday.
With my Tuesday. I don't understand. I bought a really good mic, and I know it's not coming from my mic. It's coming from my camera. So I don't know what's going on with these technical issues. I'm thinking of throwing this computer in the garbage because apparently there's something wrong with it.
Is he in the queue? Is he in?
Let me see. No, he is not. So
he was trying to get in.
Send him the link again. Before we even introduce our guest, we want to make sure he doesn't stand us up again because I am getting very agitated. But I hope you guys had a great night. Did you guys check us out on Roku?
Are you able to get in?
Did you check us out on Roku yet, Sean?
No, not yet. I've been busy.
Okay.
I've been real busy.
Just click on what I sent you.
It's a little different. I've been trying to find us on there. I'm having a really lousy time finding us, but we are there.
You see that?
There's a couple of our old shows on there, so it makes it a little hard to find the newer
really?
shows.
How'd they look? How
it looks good. It's supposed to be 4K. I'm hoping it is. Yeah. So keep checking it out.
Enter the studio.
We've had a lot of things going on outside.
You have to type your name in. There's a box.
What's going on with China with the weather balloon? They said the spy balloon. I'm looking forward to finding out what they had on their little balloon, and it sure hell wasn't helium. I'm sure it wasn't.
When you clicked on it, what came up?
Well,
it's trying to talk over John. I might just try to mute him for a little bit. Let me see if I can.
My name. There's a little box that says John Ventry.
Yeah, I was wondering if he needed the he got in. It should be the same link. I don't know.
But I have my theories on that Chinese balloon. Would you like to hear?
What is your theory? Yes, I would like to hear it.
Okay, so you get this balloon crossing the United States and Canada, right? And everyone, they're so focused on this balloon, everybody, the media, the whole 9 yards. And then all of a sudden, I think something's going on with a certain laptop that's in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, so we know. You mean Hunter Biden? I'm sure that is.
Well, yeah. I didn't want to go there. I want the SAS.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but it's part of what's going on out there. So we have to mention something like that.
But I think in order to steer people away from Hunter Biden's laptop, they're throwing this Chinese thing up in the air. My mom told me when they came home from work, she said that that balloon was a privately owned Chinese balloon.
Waiting.
That
is
it
like
wasn't government.
Okay,
a
well, I
blurry
see.
picture or something, and you're waiting.
He can use I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry, Shawn. Yeah, he doesn't have to be on audio if he doesn't. I mean, video. He can just be on audio if he wants.
Yeah. Okay, I hear her speaking. So.
I'm talking to my son.
Oh, okay.
So is it okay to do his bio? Is it okay for me to read his bio, John? No.
All right. Do you see it?
Let me see.
What do you see right now?
I see his name, but I don't see his picture or anything.
Okay. Well, let me hold on a second.
Are you going to come on and help? Sorry, guys, audience. I'm sorry. We're having a little technical problem
All right,
with StreamYards. I see him. I see him in the queue.
Yeah, he's in there. We just got to bring him in.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. Just give me a second, okay?
Okay, she's going to bring you in now.
I'm gonna introduce you, Travis. Just give me a second.
Okay,
just give me 1 second. Okay, ladies. Okay, John, you're giving me a lot of interference, buddy. Live TV, live radio. Sorry.
Yeah, he's ready.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Hi, Travis.
Okay, wait, Shawn. Let me introduce him first, okay, buddy? Okay, today we have a special guest that was supposed to be on months ago, and he's going to share his story of strange encounters in the mountains of northeastern Arizona on November 5th, 1975. Walton, who was a logger at the time, observed a bright light. That is Travis Walton. He observed a bright light in the sky, recklessly approached it, only to be blasted back by a bolt of mysterious energy. His companions fled in fear, and Walton disappeared for 5 days, leaving a massive manhunt. He reappeared disoriented and struggled to recall his experience as a captive aboard an alien craft. Despite public skepticism, Walton shares the details of his abduction and how it has impacted his life over the years. So get ready to be taken on a journey unknown as we listen to Travis Walton's story. Welcome to Chasing Prophecy, Travis. I'm so glad you are here, buddy. I've been waiting for this.
Thank you, Jennie.
I've been waiting for this for years, and I first met you at the MUFON conference probably back in 2012, and you signed a book for me, so I'm thankful that we got you on the show. So anybody who has a question for Travis, make sure you post it in the comments so we can see you. Make sure you're doing it on YouTube, okay? So Travis, whew, baby, I watched your movie about you. From this Fire in the Sky years ago, and I kind of messed up my kids to this day. So I want you to tell me what's it been like since that experience, and then get into the whole story if you don't mind.
Wow. Well, it's really, never ceased to be this gigantic thing in my life. It's hard to put a name to it.
Hey, Travis, I don't think you need the phone. You're using your laptop, right?
Yeah. So I can just.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah, just turn the phone off because I hung up on you.
Well, okay.
Hey, well, before you get
That
started,
works.
let me tell you, you've done our conferences at least 3 times in Philly, 3 times in Pittsburgh, and you even came up to Erie to do the conference. But can you believe you did Philly last year, right, Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, Philadelphia. We went to book it for this year. They raised the prices of the food $100 a person for those 2 meals, the cocktail hour and the buffet. $100 increase per person. I canceled the conference. We're done with the Philly conference. It's gone. So why don't you do this, Travis? Maybe tell us a little bit of what the movie showed and what really happened. Because they do a little bit of exaggeration, right?
Well, that's Hollywood for you. They think they've got to improve on the story. I don't think so. I think that Well, we're actually are working on a remake, and it's going to be stick closer to the real story.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
So when you woke up on the ship, you weren't in like a cocoon of goo that you pulled yourself out of?
No,
No, that didn't
no,
happen.
no cocoon.
Yeah. And when they brought you back, were you naked in a phone booth?
No, I was fully dressed. But
Yes.
that's Hollywood for you. Hey, they filmed some scenes that they didn't use that I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
What kind of
They had
scenes were
the
they?
actor coming upon a couple being intimate in a car and
Whoa.
quite a
dude.
confrontation, but fortunately they didn't use that.
On the remake you're doing, are you trying to convince them to do it more of an ambulance call, that they didn't attack you, that it was maybe, we talked about this in Laughlin, Nevada 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember sitting there talking to you that I said I thought that was a static discharge that blew you 20 feet away. And you said absolutely you were thinking back then that this was an ambulance call. They revived you. They didn't kill you.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get, yeah.
It took me a long time to, get past the trauma to see that just the fact that I was returned at all signified better intentions than I, initially interpreted it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were on the ship and when you woke up, were you on the gurney? Where were you?
Yeah, I was laying on the operating table or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. And what did you see right then when you opened your eyes?
Well, there was a light above me, and I felt a lot of pain. I didn't look around at first. I was kind of woozy, and I could make out the forms of what I took to be doctors. But then when I could finally focus my eyes, I could see that it was these beings and not doctors.
Did it look something like this one here, or was it different than this model that I have behind me?
Well, yeah, somewhat different, but it's impossible to get it exactly the way it was.
Yeah. So what what was your reaction to focus your eyes and see something not human working on you or standing in front of you?
Well, instant freak out, the way Hollywood played it, is these are monsters, and that was my initial reaction for real, but
Yeah.
it wasn't called for.
So what did you do? You jumped off the gurney and tried to defend yourself?
Yeah, I pushed them away and tried to fight my way past them to get out the door because the door was beyond them.
Yeah.
And,
Well, let me, yeah.
We have a question, John.
Go ahead.
From
Read the
Boots.
question. Yeah.
Travis, I've been following your story since you were on the Art Bell show years ago. After the abduction, have they beings that took you ever contacted you again? The aliens, did they contact you again, the ones that took you?
I don't have anything to report there.
Okay.
They haven't. You don't think they have, huh? Okay.
Hey, let me ask you, when you first saw that craft, how big, what was the size? How big was it?
It wasn't huge. It seemed a lot bigger when I woke up inside.
Yeah, because didn't you like go down the hallway and you must have been going for a distance, and then
Yeah.
what did you go into a hangar or something that was larger with smaller craft?
Right. It was parked at that point, but
Yeah.
um,
So they had to take you to the mothership, I guess, because if you saw a 30-foot craft and then you're in a operating room and ran down a hallway, I guess they brought you back to the mothership. Does that sound right?
I guess that's what you'd call it, a larger ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And at what point did those human-looking beings show up?
Well, um, the alien-looking beings turned and left. I was going to fight them no matter
Yeah.
what, and apparently they were not able to use mind control on me. And I'm thinking perhaps that the effect of that beam had uh, caused some neurological damage that kept them from being able to message me or calm me down or anything.
Mm. So when you ran down the hallway, what happened then?
Well, I was looking for a way out any way I could. I was tinkering with things I probably shouldn't have in order to get a door open or something. And at that point is when the human looking being entered the room. And of course, immediately, I interpreted this as help, and I abandoned all efforts to try to push buttons or do anything and just go with him, because just the fact that it was a familiar form made me trusting.
Yeah.
Was it military, Travis?
Well, it was a uniform because the other human-looking beings were dressed like him.
Oh,
So
wow.
there were no insignia, nothing like flags or anything like that.
How tall were they? Were they bigger than you, or how tall? Would you say?
About my height, maybe a little taller.
What are you, about 6'2"?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Were they really muscular, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or just built average?
Pretty muscular, yeah. But,
Yeah, so they were big.
to
Okay,
me, and working around loggers, it was just seemed pretty natural to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but were they what you would call the Nordics? Did they have the blonde hair and the blue eyes, or
Yeah.
like they described it? So you basically confronted with what would be the Nordics.
Yeah. And, if is it a coincidence that they happened to look like that, or was it an appearance that they adopted in order to gain my confidence?
Yeah,
I
we
don't
don't
know.
we don't really know what the truth is with this whole phenomenon. Do they appear to people as to what you would accept when they need you to, but yet they look totally different? We don't really know.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
did they show you any holograms up there that make things like something that to make you more relaxed?
No. The anesthesia was pretty abrupt and pretty complete.
So what did they do? They brought you back to that operating room and then masked you and gassed you again or something?
Well, it was a different operating room, different operating table. Now, where they took me after I was unconscious, I have no idea.
Okay. So the last you remember was what? Them grabbing you and putting a mask on you, and that's the last of being on the ship you remember?
Yeah. I remember reaching up and trying to pull the mask off of my face, but I was out before I could pull it away.
Yeah. So now, where exactly did you wake up? The movie shows you in a phone booth, but when you woke up on Earth, where were you?
I was on the road, face down, on the edge of Heber, the town nearest where this happened.
Yeah.
So I very quickly, recognized the terrain and ran down into the town to call for help.
Okay. So how far out of town were you? Just like a half mile, or were you close?
Yeah, I'd say like that.
Okay. And so who did you call? How long were you gone? First of all,
Yeah,
Um,
really.
I didn't know how long I'd been gone. It seemed like the same night to me, but
yeah,
found out later that I'd been gone for 5 days, and
5 days.
it was quite a
Wow.
That's a
shock.
long time.
Yeah.
Did you feel your face and feel that you were growing?
Yeah, yeah. My brother, when he realized I thought it was the same night, he said, "Travis, feel your face. You've been gone for 5 days."
Wow.
Wow.
Did
So
they how did they keep you did they feed you, give you some liquids to keep you going?
Good question. I was unconscious, so I don't know what they did, but I didn't feel that I was starving.
Okay.
Mm.
so you weren't dehydrated or anything at that point when you got back?
I think I was somewhat dehydrated. I drank quite a bit of water.
Okay. So what, based on what they told you, what transpired? What was transpiring over those 5 days while you're up there and your crew is now being interrogated? Tell us, what they were going through while you were asleep.
Well, they were, being under growing suspicion from the sheriff's department and the local community that they had done some foul play and had made up a crazy story to explain why I wasn't coming home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
would be a lot to try to explain. When you said you saw these beings, and now could they have like you did think they were wearing like a uniform, like a covering over their face? So
Um, no, no,
you don't think so?
no. Uh, the first one that entered the craft entered with a helmet on his head. I
Okay.
don't know that it was necessary because I wasn't suffocating, but
Mhm.
the ones that he left me with were not wearing the helmet. So don't really know if that was necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that was to protect him, that you might strike him, or was it,
Could
or,
be, that I
or they
was.
were, yeah, or they were afraid you're going to open a bay door and you're up in space?
Yeah. That's how would you I mean you were robust, you were a logger, so you were in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I was very, very exceptionally strong.
You did some boxing back then too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
A question I have, like, what would, like, how would you react if, like, the question that the commenter said about, if you are contacted again, how do you think you would react in the situation all these years later? Do you think like, hey, what the heck? I mean, would you try to ask them questions like, what was this about?
Well, I would hope that I would control my fear now that I've realized that they were trying to help me. Uh, I encountered an object in California in '93, I think it was,
Hmm.
that I was surprised at how scared I was. I, I had hoped that I would have been more.
Yeah. Well, it was a terrifying experience. I mean, I know my son had something happened to him when he was like 5 years old, and I think part of him is still scared. Um, like it could happen again. It's like, how do you deal with the fear, and how do you go on with your everyday life knowing this actually happened? Were people like cynical of you? Were they skeptical of your story? Like,
Oh yeah, at first it was pretty cynical, crazy kind of stuff. But um, as time went on, people started to realize, it had to be true because
mhm,
there was 6 other people that were,
yeah.
you know, um, telling the same story to the last detail, and so
When the craft you encountered in the early '90s, how close were you to that? You said you saw another craft like in '93 or so. How close were you, and how big was it?
Well, it was gigantic. I had just left um, a MUFON meeting in um, California.
Hmm.
Was headed home, and my son and my girlfriend, and we saw this little light off in the distance, and it very quickly became three lights and stopped right over the top of us. It was incredibly huge. I could see that when it came to a stop over the top of us, it sort of tipped up a little bit and then stopped straight over the top of us, turned 90 degrees, and then shot off towards the west.
Do you think something like that might have belonged to us? Where I don't think that in the '70s we could have any technology like what you encountered, but in the '90s, do you think that that might have been ours?
It's possible. And, there were, 15 or 20 other people who reported the sighting independently.
Yeah,
So I'd love to see if any of them got a photograph.
yeah,
But I thought it was really too much of a coincidence that it would travel that fast and then stop right over the top of us.
yeah. It's like they had to know who you were,
Yeah,
somehow. Why would they pick you? And all the cars in California, they could have gone to anybody.
yeah.
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
Go ahead, John.
No, no,
ahead,
go
no.
ahead. No, ask your question. Go ahead.
No, I just wondered, after the whole experience that you've gone through, did it change you a lot? What kind of mood, what kind of feeling did you get after the whole experience was over?
Well, it definitely changed me a lot, and it makes me understand more, and I've worked at it. Um, our place in the universe, that, this little speck we call Earth, is so tiny compared to the vastness of space, and that there's literally millions of other planets. Um, it would be foolish to think they're all empty. So the big question is always, well, how come they're not here making open contact? And I think that we're just not suited for open contact. At any one time, humans have over 100 wars going amongst each other. And that's more representative of what we are than our cutting edge physics.
Yeah.
We it's embarrassing, our behavior, in terms of what other civilizations think of us.
Yeah, you see it every day in the news, the politics.
Hmm.
It's all cutthroat. It has nothing to do with doing what's right. It's all
Yeah.
cutthroat, is what it is. So, Travis, when this occurred, like shortly after, I know you did some polygraphs, and we'll get to that next. But what was the reaction of UFO organizations? Because it seems to me when something does happen, like the Tic Tac videos, the UFO groups are the first ones to be skeptical. And I look back at the old MUFON journals. I had a disc that had every single one of them on there, and it seemed like some of the early reports where they were skeptical of what you were saying. So did you run into that with MUFON, KUFOS, APRO, all the others that were back then? I don't know if NICAP was around or not.
Yeah, I think they felt obligated to act more skeptical, but these polygraphs were conducted by law enforcement agencies,
Yeah.
and several different ones. So uh, it becomes very, difficult for there to be any sort of an accident that would slipped through the cracks there.
How long did it take before those groups accepted you were telling the truth? Like this was happened in what, 75? So at what point would you say that they finally said, you know what, this is real?
Well, it just was something that just slowly grew over time. It just increased over time. And I think a lot of it had to do with, people that did have skepticism had theories.
Yeah.
But the people who actually looked at the evidence personally are the ones that were, the most persuaded that it really happened.
Did your story I'm just asking this, did it kind of die out, let's say, for 10 or so years until the movie came out? When was the movie? Like 92 or something?
Yeah, 92, 2 or 3.
Yeah, so 75 to 92, did it kind of fizzle and then all of a sudden come back with the movie?
Well, I just went to work and didn't do interviews and, just kept my head down and focused on working 12 hours a day for years and years, just didn't want to talk about it. And then I gradually accepted more interviews and kind of regained some traction in people's minds.
So you get back to the polygraphs. How many polygraphs did you end up taking?
I think I've taken 5.
Yeah.
From different examiners. Some of the guys on the crew have taken multiple tests. Steve says every time he gets a new girlfriend, he gets a new test.
But wasn't there initially one of the crew, or maybe if it was even you, that halfway through the polygraph said that's enough and walked out? And then they
that was on the very initial day. It was Alan. Okay. Alan thought he was going to be blamed for murder, and he thought they were setting him up to frame him for murder. But he did come back and complete the test properly, everything just the way it was supposed to be, with the same examiner.
But didn't the skeptics then say, oh, he failed the polygraph because he didn't complete it? You know how they spin things.
Yeah, they wanted to claim his was called inconclusive because he didn't finish it, but he definitely did finish it later.
Yeah.
That wow. So that your crew took more than 5 polygraphs?
Yeah.
Did it sense like the sheriff really wanted to hang him? Like,
well, my mother took lie detector tests and passed. My brother took tests and passed. They had all kinds of theories, and so the family took and passed tests too.
My cousin Brian, how you doing, Brian? He has a question for you, Travis. He says, "Sir, how much of the movie affected you?"
Well, when I watch the movie, I get, in spite of the fact I know it's fiction, I catch myself holding my breath, tensing up. And yeah, it's definitely grips me every single time I see it.
Yeah, it grips me too, watching it still. It's horrifying.
Yeah, do you think that the remake that you're trying to, do you think that's actually going to happen?
I think it will.
Good.
And are they going to go and do different scenes, have a different
it's going to start a little differently. It's going to start with me wandering back into town rather than the incident itself at the start.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is a better way to do it.
Okay.
So actually, it'll probably end up as a trilogy.
Maybe.
Who knows?
The scenes that they have on the movie about you being on the table and that big thing comes down with that big long probe thing and it goes into your eye. Was that true?
I
What does that make up?
I don't have any memory of that specific thing happening. I had a lot of fearful imaginings concerning what they might have been doing to me when I was unconscious, but uh, there's no conscious memory of that.
Okay. What about like some people have these feelings of like on their bed where they can't move, and it's like their eyes are the only thing that moves, and they see these shadows. Like they call it sleep paralysis. Was that
Well, it
an
was kind of like
experience?
that at first,
Was it?
because I was just so weakened that I could, just hardly move. And
Mm-hmm.
as I regained consciousness, I regained strength too.
Okay.
You know, a lot of
Um,
people in the field say that this type of thing is intergenerational. So I think you have children. Has anything happened to your kids?
Good question. I was going to ask that.
I read your mind.
You did.
Well,
uh-oh.
not that I would. I even hesitate to talk about that sighting that I had coming back from Burbank, California, because I didn't have supporting witnesses. But then I found out that UFOstalker.com had taken, more than a dozen other reports that night.
Hmm.
The same thing.
Has the government come to ask you questions within this time period from 1975 to till now? Has any come to you with questions?
None that identified themselves officially in that way. There were some employees of NASA that, on their own hook, privately contacted me.
Has any abductees ever contacted you specifically that they might have had the same experience or on this craft with you at the same time?
I have met a few of the major experiencers, but I don't recall any of them saying we were there at the exact same time.
Okay.
That's a good question to ask you. Were you the only one on the ship, or were there others?
Apparently, I was the only one, but I'm the only one I saw.
Okay.
I know you've answered so many questions over the years. I mean, you were on Joe Rogan, you were on Coast to Coast recently. Does this affect you, rehashing everything when you go back and talk about it so many times?
Yeah, I get recognized quite regularly now.
Mm-hmm. But nothing in the negatives. You've been getting positive response.
And some birthday pictures came out recently, and my son tells me, I haven't looked, but he says that, there's been over 80 comments and they were all positive.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think people view it positive. I mean, I know when you've spoken for us 7, 8 times, I don't know how many times in PA, everybody loves you. I mean, they want to hear your story, and when you speak, you're one of the biggest drawers that we have at our events. Because I watch what speakers bring the crowds in. And I don't ask them back if they don't bring a crowd in, and you always brought the crowd in.
Well, the way I see it is you must be pretty special if they wanted to contact you, or they come, they could have just left you there. That's one of my questions was when that was on the movie, there's that light and you're standing there and you get pulled up. Do you have any recollection of that happening?
No, I was unconscious. Well, the minute that energy hit me, it was like an electric shock, and I was unconscious.
I always thought it was static, like you got too close and it was just like a static discharge,
Like an accidental discharge.
Yeah. Did they ever say to you that it was an accident that we brought you? We didn't want you, just happened to be.
No, but I ran across a statistic that that area, that rim road there, has the second highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the continental United States outside of the Everglades.
Wow.
Could you have been like, and you said that, could you have been struck by lightning and knocked unconscious for that many days and not know it and be in the woods and just woke up and started walking?
Well, that'd be quite a stretch. That the searchers blanketed the area, so
They
if
never
if my body had been there, they would have found me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but you woke up in town, close to town. You didn't wake up in the middle of the woods.
So
on the
they just
mountain.
dropped you back down, I mean, into on the street, like on the road, on a dirt road?
Yeah, and I was able to see them depart.
No, were you fully clothed? Like in the movie, you were naked.
I was fully clothed.
Okay.
So
Hey.
Travis, if you let's say you didn't get out of the truck, you saw it in the woods and stuff. So let's say your guys convinced you, keep driving. Do you think anything would have happened, or do you think they would have like maybe got over you? And
Well, I
shut the-
certainly wish I had stayed in the truck. I mean, it turns out to be not nearly as negative as I thought, but nevertheless, I'd rather it had never happened.
Yeah, that's what a lot of abductees say on the show, that it was such a wonderful experience, and all I could feel was love and peace. What about you?
Well, it took me a while to realize the benign intentions, but I didn't feel love and peace at the time.
Travis, Michael Anthony has a question for you. Were you more intrigued at first of what you were seeing, or was it a state of fear as the abduction took place, realizing what exactly it was? Because I can feel for you that way. I dealt with it. I was intrigued, and then I asked myself, what did I get myself into? But I never had an abduction that I am aware of.
Yeah, so it was a mixture of both. Yeah, I was definitely intrigued and awe of what I was seeing, and wound up being involved.
That's cool. And then my cousin Brian said, "Sir, how true to the fact was the movie?"
And we already.
Well, 80% but the remake we're gonna really work on sticking to the essence of the story.
Okay.
Who's
That-
produced? Do you know who's producing it?
That I didn't realize at the time.
Mhm.
That back when the movie was being written, I was just beginning to realize that it was more benign than I thought.
Benign.
So what do you have to say, like, with Jen's question? We've had people on that said they've interviewers like me, let's say, who said, I've never run into an abductee who had a negative experience. They've all been positive. I mean, I find that statement incredible.
Well, it's all in the mind of the perceiver,
Yeah.
For me, it was initially quite negative, but I was mistaken.
Yeah.
What made you change your mind?
Just the fact that I was returned at all, where I could get help, and that no eventual medical after effects showed up.
Okay.
Quite
So-
the contrary.
So they did, when you say medical, you had medical attention. They do any scans to make sure there wasn't any kind of an implant or anything like that? Did
Yeah.
they find anything?
I had chest x-rays and brain scans.
They didn't find anything.
Blood tests.
Nothing was unusual. Everything was normal.
Nothing that they knew what to look for.
Yeah, it was 1975. Did they have MRIs back then?
No, I
No.
don't think so. No.
Okay.
No.
It was a while ago.
But that would, if he did have something inside him, if he had an MRI done, that would be pretty bad, because God only knows where that little object would go. You know what I mean? Because it's metal or something like that.
Yeah.
So you didn't have any implants or anything, did you, Travis? Did they ever find anything?
No,
Okay. So it seems like they more or less revived you, and they didn't tag you or come back in the future.
Do you,
that I know of.
do you
I got a
do you,
feeling something else happened, but you ain't telling us.
Yeah.
do you
Well,
ever do you
I,
ever
I,
oh, God.
I don't have the kind of group witnesses.
Hmm.
I,
So
I,
you have had experiences, but you don't have anybody to back you up.
right.
Okay.
Okay. That's good. Do you ever wonder why, or have you ever sat down and just think, why did they send me back?
Yeah. Well, I'm determined to try to make something good come of it.
Okay.
Well, I think you are by talking to people about your story because so many other people have had the same experiences. And I think it's nice to know that there's others that can really sit down and say, hey, yeah, I had lie detector tests. I was all over the news and everything. They made a movie about me. So that person, he or she might not feel alone anymore. So I think that's good. Because
I
there's so
mean,
many strange things happening.
I've talked to a lot of people telling them that you were going to be on the show, and a lot of them really look up to you, Travis. They look up to you.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes, they do.
And I just want to pause real quick. So, if you're just tuning in now on the radio or on the live streams, we have Travis Walton on the show. He was abducted in 1975. He was a logger, and he's telling his story. So, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat.
How many events do you do a year now, would you say? How many speaking events do you do?
Well, I've probably got about 6 or 8 scheduled already.
Okay. How many did you do last year?
Um, Probably more than that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're not speaking every week. You're not traveling every week, are you? More like once a month at max?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, um, March and May are pretty busy.
Yeah.
That's good.
July.
So, what do you think about this whole new thing with the Pentagon and AARO, I think is what they call it, and they want to control the narrative through the Pentagon and the Navy and maybe even push out UFO groups and all of that and really control this whole narrative? What do you think about the military's involvement in UFOs now?
Well, I don't think they need to control it, but I think it's only natural that they would want to, put their spin on it. They have to justify an interest in it. And so that naturally devolves into defense, you know,
Right,
have to concoct a threat just in order to justify looking into it.
right.
And I don't think there is a threat, but it's still potentially a powerful source of information and insight. So they definitely should be looking into it.
What do you think Elizondo meant when he said, we thought they were monsters, but they're actually our neighbors? What did he mean by that?
Yeah, really.
Well, they look very different from us, but you get past that, and it's just people that are very different from us and more advanced.
So,
And
neighbors, you don't think they meant like they reside here on Earth under the water, under the Antarctic? You think neighbors meaning planets?
I think that they can close the distance.
Yeah.
It's technology.
Travis, we have the last question from Michael Anthony. And he says, thank you for answering them. Are you being followed or observed, seeing things in the sky above you since the time of the abduction? For me, I am, and I feel I am being visited now regularly more. They show their lights to me.
Well, if they are, I hope it's in a positive way. There's some evidence of that. The thing that I said I don't have enough evidence for happened in the middle of the night, something got me out of bed and ran me to my son's room.
Oh, wow.
Nobody heard anything. My wife was in the bed. She didn't hear anything. All the kids that were in the house heard nothing. But when I got there, my son was hanging by his neck. His body had slipped under the rail that was supposed to keep him from falling off the top bunk bed.
Mm.
And the bar was across his throat to where he couldn't yell.
God. That's
He couldn't
horrible.
breathe. And I didn't hear anything.
So they somehow urged you to say.
Something moved me.
Mm.
Okay.
Wow.
And there I was in his room, a split second.
So was he okay? Were you able to untangle him? Was he all right? Yeah. So there's an instance of them helping you. Obviously, that your son might have strangled if
Yeah.
you didn't go in there.
That's
My cousin says, "Thank you, sir, for your time."
Thank you.
Travis, there's other when you read what they're saying from Lou Elizondo to the Blink 182 guy. I can't think of his name right now, but in each of their interviews, they make a reference to these are people fighting demons. The demonic reference has been made a number of times with this whole group now for the last 5 years. Do you think any of it could? You know where I stand on it because I fall into that area. That I think some of this activity in people's houses is actually demonic activity and not alien. But for them to be saying it at that level, Lou Elizondo, the Blink 182 guy, he said it a couple of times. Do you think that there's anything here that's falls into that biblical Jesus, Satan, demons, ancient deities, that type of stuff that may have built the pyramids? You think
Well, I know these people are convinced of that, but I haven't seen anything to persuade me that that's the case. It seems benign to me. And you would hope that if civilization develops for another 100,000 years, that we won't be doing the same stupid stuff we are now.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why they want to go to this one world government so you can control every country. But I have such reservations about totalitarianism and control. I like freedom, I don't want a one world government.
No, that's definitely something to be avoided.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you think looking forward to any more encounters, or are you just hoping it's all past you and it'll never happen again?
Well, if I did, it would be great to answer some questions, personal questions, and whether I would be allowed to make that public or not, I remain to be seen.
Mm-hmm. When you were there, did you try to ask questions, or you were just constantly?
Oh yeah, I was definitely babbling questions, but I was so hysterical. I don't blame them for ignoring me.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had every right to be hysterical. So they did calm you down to a point where you were unconscious.
Yeah.
I would love to know what they did.
So would Travis. But so what's your bottom line at this point with this whole phenomenon? Do you think they just observe us, like Star Trek, where they're not supposed to interfere?
Non-interference directive makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
We're humans are a bunch of savages.
Yeah, it appears
generally speaking, as a group, constant warfare.
UFO John says, "What's up, Travis?" I don't know if you know who that is.
It's not me. I'm sitting here. I didn't send a message.
So what's up, alien electrographic take crap brothers and sisters?
Wow.
Somebody
That's a
likes you,
big one,
Travis.
Well, best wishes to
So-
everybody.
So, is there anything like mine that you really want to know about, but you still haven't gotten the answers that you were
Well, I would
seeking?
like to encourage people to ask themselves if the aliens are hands off or don't want to get personal with us, what do you suppose we are? What sort of changes should we make to make them more open to contact? I can totally understand why they wouldn't want to at this point, but what changes should we make to maybe not as a species, maybe not as a group, but certain individuals?
Do you think they're armed? Like, did they not make contact because they're afraid we're going to try to shoot them down? Or do you think they're armed, or maybe they're beyond weapons and they don't want to approach us because they're not armed at this point?
Well, the technology that they possess, it would definitely be very disrupting and upsetting for what we've got going.
Hmm.
I don't think we're ready for it, probably.
No, we're not. We're not ready.
Mm-mm.
Well, here's a question that comes up. I'm surprised Jen didn't ask it, but I'm involved with this a conference that's coming up on Val Thor. Strangers
Val
to
Thor.
Pentagon. I mean, they roped me into it to be the MC and everything. But back in the 50s, I think that was. Do you think that Val Thor story was true? That he came and spent 3 years at the Pentagon and was trying to get us to make the changes you talk about, but we wouldn't make any changes at that point, and he ended up leaving.
Well, it could be, but I don't know. And I made a policy of not affirming or disaffirming anybody else's case because people did that to me without getting all the facts.
Yeah.
And I would be obligated to thoroughly research before I
Yeah.
expressed an opinion.
Michael Anthony says, why would Truman sign a treaty to allow 80,000 to be abducted? I didn't even know he did that. Is that true?
Well, that was the rumor when they asked us in '52, I guess it was. They went to Muroc Air Force Base in California and met with Truman and asked us to give up our nuclear weapons, but he wouldn't do it. And then supposedly it's called the Greada Treaty, that we signed an agreement that we would not interfere with them taking a few people and doing some experiments if they would give us some technology and not give it to if they would give it, they were going to give it to the Russians, so we had to agree. I don't know if that's true or not. What do you
How
think?
do we know that this isn't the government doing these abductions until Travis, 1975?
I don't think they could in 75. I think they could have in
Well,
95.
if they had the technology, if Roswell is true and they had the technology, the craft that they supposedly kept at Area 51, why couldn't they have?
Yeah,
they
they
could have.
could
We'll
have.
never know.
But Travis, do you think that there was a meeting with Truman and an agreement with the ETs?
I don't know. I'd love to know. You would think that they would record it thoroughly.
You know, we hear. Let me just finish real quick, John, because we have to break anyways. All these abductees that we had on the show, and they said that they communicate with them and they go into these trances and they can talk to them. Did you ever try to talk to them?
No, I haven't attempted that, but I really did feel that that thing. Well, I don't know. It just,
go ahead, say it.
It seemed like a big coincidence that they would stop right over the top of us, but then, you
see that they happen.
It could have been people on our side just trying to get me to report it and connect it to UFOs, and
that's true.
Yeah.
a cover story for giant black triangles.
Yeah, those big black triangles. But we just have to take a real quick break and shout out to Carnation for sponsoring the second hour with Travis Walton on Chasing Prophecy. Thank you so much, Carnation, for sponsoring this hour.
So, Travis, did you ever try to do the Stephen Greer thing with him or anybody to try to contact them? Have you made any efforts to try to bring them back and contact them?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't either.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I would. I mean, sometimes I think of hearing all these stories and I say, oh, it'd be so really awesome if this would happen to me. But when I go back and think about all the things the terrible things, the 80% that happened to Travis on the movie, I said, no, I don't want it to happen. But to know that, wouldn't it be really awesome if they did make themselves known and you actually got to, say that there's a sighting somewhere over Colorado somewhere to Mount Rushmore or something, and you go there, sort of like on Close Encounters of the Third. Remember that movie? You know how they all got together? Wouldn't it be cool that you could go back and say, hey, you get to actually meet them like on a human way?
Well, I think that, the degree of sightings and contacts that are happening are not accidental. I don't think the aliens are slapping their forehead and go, oh boy, I got to be more careful next time. A human spotted me, I think that they control who sees and to what degree and how provable they know, how good your camera is, the whole thing. And it's a conditioning process. It's very gradual, but deliberate. It's if they wanted to, I believe they could maintain a presence here and remain undetected.
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence. I mean, I think it's not a coincidence that everybody is seeing all these, and it's for a reason. So maybe soon they'll make themselves know. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shawn.
I'm more to not so much dwell on the military, but to me, I would, and this is my own personal feeling, that they would just keep contact on you for a long, long time, even to this day. I don't know if it's true or not, but to me, if I was a high rank in Air Force colonel or whatever, I'm going to kind of make sure that they're not talking to you. Do you still have the military involved around you?
Well, I am contacted by individuals from time to time, but they've never announced it as being in official capacity.
Okay. No, it just, the military just, I don't know, because I really didn't know about aliens until 3.5 years ago when Jen asked me to do this show, So it's just so amazing. I just have so many questions, but I don't want to bore you with them.
Well, it's a huge universe. There's literally millions of planets, potentially life supporting. So the surprising thing is how little contact there is. And what are we doing wrong that's keeping them away from us?
Yeah, what are we doing wrong?
Just about everything.
Well, Travis's story is what got me interested in it. I'm not going to lie. His story made me write my book. So it affected me, and then it affected my son and others around me. So I think.
What was the name of your book? Fire in the Sky 2?
My book? From the Sky.
There you go. Almost plagiarized you.
No, yeah. But no, it got me, and seriously, that's what made me want to get into all this stuff. And hey, this, oh my God, this actually happened to somebody. And then that's what started.
I think, the fact that we, realize that it's real and are aware of it, kind of puts us in a sort of an elite group. We're better prepared than others.
Yeah. So when they do make contact, we'll be the first in line.
Travis,
I mean, think about it, right? You got a spaceship, an alien UFO coming down,
What happened to
and you're
Shawn?
like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And you have no control on what's going to happen. I mean, I've dealt this, I've duked it out with Jen about this for a long time. That's why I said that, Travis. But when you were in the ship or whenever you came out of your unconsciousness, were there different symbols anywhere, or was it just one flat metallic type of color?
Well, nothing that I recognized as symbols, but
Travis, a lot of people that have this first contact, they report having some abilities, even if it's short term, of paranormal type stuff, like sensing something that's going to happen that happens. It's almost like once they were touched, they had a sixth sense for a short period, and even sometimes for longer periods. Some became like mystics or mediums and stuff. Anything with you that lasted? Any abilities? Anything that maybe faded away upon contact?
well, I think I turned out to be healthier than I thought I'd be.
Oh,
I expected to experience negative health effects from it, but I didn't.
that's a positive.
Yeah.
It made you healthy. Like I know there was one guy who was it on Missing 411 UFO Connection said that when he was apparently abducted that they did all kind of scans and he was so much healthier, and I think he had some kind of cancer and it was gone.
Mm.
But also he said he had a vasectomy and he thought that that's one of the reasons why they sent him back. So I don't know if that had anything to do with the story.
Well, everything still works.
That's a good thing after all. Yeah. Some other people might have did the
I
opposite.
never called in sick one time in all those in 20 years.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
called in sick.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
funny, my 35-year career at UPS, when I went into management, I don't think I missed 3 days in 26
Wow.
years,
That's a
because you have responsibility and you just can't say, oh, I don't feel like going to work today. But, a lot of people, they don't feel that way.
Michael Anthony said most
Yeah.
suffer from radiation who were abducted. Yeah.
Did that happen to you, Travis?
Did they use a Geiger counter on you or anything to see if there was radiation?
They checked it. They didn't find any high radiation.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. There's just so many questions we could sit here and ask forever. I mean, what did it look like?
This is like a 3-hour show.
I mean, when you're laying on a table, right? You're laying on a table, and your eyes are open, and you can see. Is it dark? Like, is it dark, or is there light
The room
shining on
was
you?
pretty dark, even though the light was right above me. It kind of hurt my eyes, even though it wasn't all that bright. But my vision was blurry at first, and then it sharpened, and then I could see that these beings that were standing over me were not human.
Did they talk to you? Like, hey, Travis, it's okay. Don't worry. Did they know your name?
No.
They didn't say. They didn't communicate with you at
That
all.
was the blast of energy hitting me disrupted my nervous system to where I think they were unable to control me or communicate or reassure me.
Michael, you can ask any questions, many amount that you want. So go ahead and shoot them off. So did they communicate with you telepathically? And they didn't talk with their
No,
mouths?
that's what I'm saying. I think my neural circuits were so scrambled that they had to resort to getting someone that I would trust, someone that looked human.
Okay, so the one that looked like a Nordic with the light hair and the blue
Now,
eyes.
whether that was some kind of illusion or robot or who that was, it worked. I trusted him and was taken out of the craft by him.
That would make sense if they'd use something that would make you comfortable, because there's so many different movies and shows that they have the three different species of alien on there. They have the reptilians, they have the Nordics, and they have the Greys working together. So was there anything that looked like a reptilian, or just the grayish kind with the big eyes?
No, didn't see any reptilian.
John Michael said that when I guess his experience left his eye blurry and dry, whatever happened to him. So that's the only physical thing that I can
Boy,
see.
UFO John really, really likes you, Travis. He has caps,
Is that your friend? Because he seems like he knows you.
He says, UF John,
Well-
John says, this is so cool that I was able to talk to Travis Walton.
Got a fan.
Well, that's cool. One of the crew members that was with me was named John. I probably wasn't him that you're talking to there, but
No, UFO John. I'm not sure who that is.
Do you take people up, who want to actually see where you were abducted?
Yeah,
Do
that's
take
something you
people
could
up?
do.
yeah, we used to conduct tours to the area. Thinking about doing that again,
Yeah, you should. I think you should. That would be
like
We'll go.
maybe on the anniversary of the incident or something.
Yeah.
What was
That
the
would be
date? What time? What month?
It was
What was
November
November 5th. Yeah.
November 5th.
Yeah, November is a tough month to do that stuff weather-wise where you are.
Yeah,
You go
depends
up there.
on whether we get an early snow or not.
Yeah, you go up there. You might.
We
not
were
come back.
still working out there, so we had lucked out and
Yeah,
Apparently.
worked till the weather shut us out.
Yeah. Oh, there's just so many things we could ask. John, when was the last time Travis was in Pittsburgh? Was that
I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Last
Just
year?
you were in Philly with Nick Pope, wasn't it? The two of you? Yeah, it was you and Nick Pope that was here last May.
Well, not in Pittsburgh, not in Philadelphia.
Oh, Pittsburgh? I think were you here last year, the year before in 21, Travis, or no? I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I know it was on Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, at both ends of the state.
Yeah.
That trip.
Yeah. Maybe what we'll do in 25, which will be the 50th anniversary in 2 years, we'll bring you back to Pittsburgh and bring you in.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
like
I'd like
to
to
skip a
go
few years
once with
anyhow.
you.
Yeah.
I want to go out to once with you.
That'd be great.
Is Travis buying or are you buying?
No, I'm buying. I'll buy.
Right now, I want to go find a drink of water.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Oh, you need some water? Go ahead.
You can go get some water. Travis, you need to get something to drink? Go ahead. You can go.
It would take too long.
Oh, okay. Well,
Here, Travis, watch me.
Oh, that ain't right.
You're trying to make me thirsty here.
Oh, that ain't right.
You know me, I'm kind and gentle.
you seriously, if you want to go get a drink, you can. If you want to stay on to the till 9, you can go ahead and get a drink. But if you want to leave now, that's up to you.
Well, let's call it a day.
Okay.
Okay.
Call it a day.
All right.
Is
Well,
there a
well,
final
thank you.
Travis,
ahead.
is there a final message, like the bottom line, like what do you think they want in the bottom line? What do you think this whole thing is about?
Well, acceptance that it's a big universe and we're not the only ones in it. And
Do you think
that's pretty basic,
just trying to ease us into accepting that they're out there, or do you
Yeah,
think
on these constant sightings every so often,
yeah.
is designed to do exactly that. Just remind us that we're not alone.
What about the negative side where, Dr. Jacobs, they've been experimenting, they've been cloning and creating new generations that have now infiltrated governments and corporations. Do you think that stuff is actually going on?
I haven't seen any evidence for it, but
Okay. So they're not trying to take the.
I'm
planet
open
over.
to I'm open to everything. Just give me the evidence.
Yeah, yeah. Because you get this field. Some people say they're trying to replace us. They want the planet. Others say they're just observing.
I
Um,
think if they wanted the planet, we'd never know what hit us.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd
That's
be
exactly.
Thank
over
you,
before.
Travis.
It
Thank
They've
would
you.
been
happen.
here for decades. It'd been over a long time ago.
So
That's
Thank you.
definitely.
I say to the people that the West Coast people, who say they're here to help and they're going to clean the environment and cure our immune system. I say, don't. Well, why didn't they do something with COVID? It would have been very easy to show up and give us a cure and say, look, we're here to help. That would have
Yeah.
been a perfect opportunity, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And if
That's
they
true.
wanted to get rid of us, invent something worse than COVID and wipe us all out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they sent that over the country in that balloon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
From
Balloon
China.
was going
I
over,
actually,
yeah.
I said, China knows we're going to shoot it down. They put another biological in there because we're going to shoot it down. But we did wait till it got
Yeah, it's
past,
too late.
it got out to the ocean and we shot it down.
Yeah, that's right. Hey,
All right,
Travis, where can someone
Travis.
find your book? Your books?
Um,
Or- on your website?
TravisWalton.com, and my communication has been changed. They completely abandoned the entire platform. Me and
Oh.
everybody else on it. They said we're just not going to do this anymore. So I got a new one. It's TC Walton 75.
TC
Gmail.
Walton 75 at Gmail. So you can go check out it, get his book. And we'll be looking forward to the movie. So I'm hoping, I'll keep my
Yes.
fingers crossed it goes through. But thank you again for coming
Thank
on.
you,
I really
Travis.
appreciate it.
Nice,
And
nice
you have a
talking to all
great,
you folks.
nice
Nice
talking to
to
you
you,
too.
sir.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
We'll
and
bring
thanks
you back
again.
in. We'll bring you back in for the 50th anniversary in 25.
Yeah, okay.
And when
All
the
right,
movie
thanks.
comes out. Bye-bye.
Always a
Bye-bye.
pleasure. Thanks, Travis.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he's
I really enjoyed that.
probably the biggest name in the field that we could have got for the show, I think.
Yeah, he's very genuine. I liked him. Very nice, easygoing.
Yeah. I think that there was more that happened.
He's not telling.
Yeah, he's not telling because I've been to, I've heard him talk a dozen times at different events I've been at, and there's always the sense that something else happened or that they came back or that he's not telling us the whole thing.
Yeah, you could tell he was holding something back.
Yeah, there was something traumatic maybe that happened too. So
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
I'm
he's-
sorry. I was talking to John, UFO John. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me. So, yeah, it seemed like I've always got the impression there was more to the story,
Yeah, that's what I think. I think he's a lot of stuff that he's not telling us, and he has every right not to. Maybe he's
Right.
talking to somebody now, and he's not allowed to talk. But I
Well,
like the idea that he says. Go ahead.
If they're making a
Sean.
movie, he can't talk.
Well, I don't think they're going to put stuff that,
No, it don't matter. He couldn't.
I think he's trying to get
signed a
them.
waiver.
I think he's trying to get the movie to be more benign, that they helped him. I think that's the direction, that they're not monsters, from space.
Well, maybe we can have that discussion again about whether or not they're peace-going people. They could be portraying themselves as peace-loving people
Yeah.
or race, and they're not.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
The stuff that happened, getting back to your question, could it have been us? I mean, everything that happened kind of, if that was 1947 to 75, right? You got 28 years. Maybe that was our craft. And maybe this guy walked up to it and got hit with.
Yeah, that's what I said. How do you know it's not government? And
Yeah.
Michael says the reason why he's not talking is it has something to do with contract movie non-disclosure agreements. You're right, in legal
Yes.
terms. That's
Yep.
like Shawn was saying, yeah.
Yeah, but
So
he's
that could-
always, for 10, 12 years that I've known him, there's always been something else there. But, the whole description of the whole thing, if it was our craft and the guys that came out to meet him were human looking,
Mhm.
That could have just been our guys didn't want to kill him,
Yeah.
The static charge killed him and they brought him back on and paddled him and everything else until they could bring him back, But that doesn't explain the grays that were there. I mean, what the hell is that? We wouldn't have that.
No, the only thing I could think of was with the grays. It looked like in the movie the gray like the guy back there is a uniform or whatever, helmet, like an astronaut get up.
Oh,
That's
you're
what
thinking this is really a helmet?
I think I don't think they look like that. I think that's a what do you call them? Their outfits. Is it called a uniform?
Exoskeleton.
Well, no, I think it's a uniform, like or
Yeah.
what the astronauts wear.
Well, you remember Independence Day, that thing with the arms, that was actually a suit. And when they
that's
opened it
it's a suit. That thing is like a space suit.
Yeah,
I think the thing behind you is a space suit.
Right. Okay. And there's something else.
There's something else in it. It's probably.
Inside it. Yeah.
I don't think he looks like that. Because how do you know they might not be able to breathe our air?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's possible.
There are theories, and I put one out a while ago. It's in my books that there was a UFO crash in the 1939 in the Black Forest of Germany. They were working on it because we know they were working on stuff. We got the technology in 45, and then 47 is Roswell. And there were so many crashes, those years. UFOs shouldn't be crashing, right? You fly 1 trillion miles and then you crash here, it's almost like we were testing this technology until we got it right. And that was all of those old crashes, Kingman, Roswell, all of them. And it's always been us, but where did it come from? I still say there was a real crash in 1939 in or 36 in the Black Forest of Germany. And that's what Hitler got. And they didn't know what they were working on, but their engineers were getting close, Hey,
John, I'm going to ask you this question. In your honest opinion, why aren't people allowed to go to Area 51? Your honest answer.
Well, it's technically it's a top secret testing place for next generation military aircraft is what's there. Why would they want to let you in? When I was doing the Hangar One TV show, right? So we were in season 2 and it was really picking up. Season 1 went well. Ratings for season 2 was even better. I remember emailing the producer, Paul Villalloyd, and saying, let's request access to Area 51. I don't care if they just bring us into the vestibule. I want to be able to say I got into Area 51, but let's ask them for an interview and access to Area 51. And his response was, "It'll never happen. It'll never happen." But that would have been cool,
Right.
Yeah, they're testing all kinds of stuff there still. Aren't they still testing stuff?
Yeah, that's the whatever the next generation stuff is. That's where they're testing it, But
do you believe they got it from the aliens?
I believe that I think it was 1936.
47.
No, the Germany, the Black Forest crash. I think the Black Forest crash was real. I think Roswell was our test. That was our craft using, you had to go with somebody smaller or lightweight, almost like a jockey on a horse because of the weight. We were testing this anti-gravity craft, and they could have been midgets, they could have been dwarves, I don't know. But, there were smaller people on there because they weigh less. And I think that that's what crashed, and I think that a lot of the crashes since have been our technology. So it could have been ours in 1975. But to me, that's a little early. I think in the 80s, I absolutely believe those are military craft. Hudson Valley, even 1980 with those women in Texas that got radiation poisoning, Cash Landrum, I mean, here you got a craft flying followed by helicopters. They were testing it, and it had a nuclear reactor, and it was throwing down, radiation, and they happened to be under it, But anything from 1980 on, I'm thinking is ours, but I don't know about 75, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I liked how he said that he didn't agree with. Well, he didn't really come out and say he didn't agree or disagree about how these beings were like good and they were looking to spread peace and love, like some of the people. I'm sorry. I just think I can't imagine.
Yeah, I just find I don't know what the right word is. I grew up in New York City. I'm street smart. I'm not naive. I go into, even now I go into a bank. I observe who's outside the bank,
Yeah, that's what I do.
and when you go in, I look to see if those same people are there because they're going to get held up.
Yeah.
It's like I'm different than a lot of people. And I don't. New Yorkers are skeptical, and I need, show me the money. I want to see the proof.
Yeah, you know what? I do that too. That's weird that you say that because when I go into a bank, I do look who's outside, who's inside. And I actually went to a car wash, and there was a guy, the automated ones, you drive in and you put your money and you go in. There was a guy on the next one, the next car wash next to me. He's just sitting there. I didn't go in. I didn't put my money in and go in.
Yeah.
I don't trust him. What is he sitting there for?
Yeah.
He's sitting in his car. He's not moving. He's not going into the car wash. He's not on his phone. I'm like, what is he doing there? And I just felt uneasy and I left.
Well, crime in America has spiked since 2020, and it's not bad where we are. Things are fine here, but there's a lot of. Well,
I don't know about that. There was a cop. There's 2 cops that were shot.
Oh, it's true. You're seeing that almost every day now. You're seeing the shooting of a police officer locally here. So
it's sad what the world we live in.
Yeah. But I always get back to I am so convinced that the ancient sites of the pyramids, Baalbek, all of those, I believe those were built by ancient deities. And I'm reading a book right now called Return of the Gods. Boy, does it hit home.
Yeah.
It's not talking about the UFO stuff. It is talking about what's going on in the country and how prior to Christ, these fallen angels would, and I've said this prior to reading this book, they would show themselves. They were the gods that people worshipped, whether it was the Norse gods, the India gods, the Roman, the Greek gods. I mean, this is not all mythology made up stuff. This was actually going on. And I believe they built the pyramids because that, the 3 has always been a symbol of the demonic, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit 3, right? That's the opposite stuff. But this book talks about the practices in the old world of child sacrifice, of there's a lot of other things I don't want to get into in the show because then you run into turning it political. But so many of those things are now coming back. They were pushed out of really almost the entire world through Christianity and the 10 Commandments. And it was really Christianity and Western civilization that pushed out all the pagan beliefs. The Vikings converted, all of these groups converted to Christianity. And we had our, 10 Commandments and, turn the other cheek and you don't start a war, but you'll finish it if it happens type stuff. But you see the push of Christianity now being pushed out. Look at the Grammys. There's a demonic ritual.
That was before we get into that. I just want to thank you, Michael. Thank you, Sebastian.
I did Michael's show 6 months ago, 2 hours and 43 minutes. We did a UFO show because he had those experiences, and we also did a political show that was about an hour and a half because he's political like me.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the Grammys with that dancing. I don't know, for people who I was shocked when I saw it. I go, oh my God.
I didn't watch it because I don't watch the Academy Awards. I don't watch.
I don't either. But when I heard about this, I go, oh my God, are you kidding me?
But all of what they're doing, and I was over my kid's house in Missouri, and we're watching The Last of Us. And I read something about episode 3, and I said to my son and daughter and their spouses, I'm not watching episode 3, or when it happens in episode 3, I'm leaving, and I don't want to offend anybody, but
it was, I don't want to, I just want to show this because I just,
tell me when you pull it up, but
I don't know how to it's like I have to pull up. I'm going to try to fast forward to on somebody's who has it, okay? Because it's just
Yeah.
there's so many on here. There's tons of them, but there's not one of just that scene. So I can just play that. There's like all these little commentaries.
The bottom line is they're trying to get us to accept stuff that we would have never accepted 5 years ago, let's say. To watch this stuff on TV and shows and then say, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can do that too. Maybe, a little devil worship ain't a bad thing. There is a demonic tone going on in this country and around the world. I mean, I looked at something I saw. Australia, right? All of these creation people come out of Australia, creation conferences. Australia is like 71% atheists now. What happened? England the same way. Like 5% of people go to church. 5%. And the point of the book I was reading was that when you push God out, when you open that door and you push it out, something will replace it. And it's going to be these ancient deities. They were here first. They were here for the first 4,000 years. And they're back now. And the more if you think that way and look what's going on, they are back. And Shawn, you should be seeing this with a lot of ghostly and paranormal activity, and maybe that's why I had that activity here in this house too. I think they're back.
No doubt, John. No doubt at all.
Yeah, I think they're back. And they're, they don't show themselves like they did back then in Egypt, being an 8-foot tall guy with a bird head and a minotaur, a horse with a human torso and head. They don't do that, but I believe they actually did show themselves that way. They're invisible. They're still spiritual and can manifest like a Bigfoot or something, but they are influencing people to do things that they would have never done or accepted. And that's the road we're heading down.
It's so hard to find one that doesn't have a bunch of
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I saw a still, and that was all I needed to see to say.
Yeah, that's all I saw was this still.
Yeah.
I think there's a TikTok. I think I saw a TikTok here. I can show you on YouTube. It's somebody.
Maybe another reason why the aliens aren't coming here to Earth is because there is so much anger and depression that.
That's probably why.
Now think about it, right? Everybody, the way the world is right now, all the anger that people have, all the depression, all the mental illness, right, is out there in the universe, and the ETs are saying, you know what, we don't want to deal with that, not yet. You know what I mean?
You know, it's interesting, Shawn. The book I wrote 10 years ago, An Alternative History of Mankind, it was almost true. I almost picked up a woman in Roswell that looked like a hybrid, the albino appearance. And I wrote a book that I actually picked her up, and she was a hybrid. The conversation was, she was telling us our true history, but I kept saying, I believe in God and the devil. And when we talked about this ancient deities and fallen angels, the aliens were just as afraid of them as we are. They experience them also on these other planets. And we had that in common with them, that they didn't, when I brought up ancient deities and fallen angels, no, we don't know how to deal with them either, because you can't. They're more powerful. It's a real interesting concept 10 years ago. And now I believe this stuff is actually coming true, that they're here, Yeah.
That's true. It's like,
what was the name of that movie? A wrestler was in on Rodney Piper, where he wore glasses and he could see.
They live.
Glasses.
They live. Yeah.
Do you think we're at that part of?
Well, according to a lot of people who think that they're here, I think that. Well, I firmly believe in the ghostly paranormal area that these other creatures and beings see an aura in us. Maybe the good people, let's just say a light bulb, right? The good people are bright and the
Right.
worst person you are is duller, 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 or it's a different color.
you're-
It's blue, it's red. It's
Mhm.
You're
I
so
think
right.
I think they see this aura, and they know who they can attack, or maybe they attack the bright bulbs because they want to, they hate them and they want to take them down, but they really have a hard time doing that because they already got the others, right? The people who aren't
Right.
shining very bright, they got them already.
Mhm.
And depending on what happens when you die, I'm reading another book that Jesus, he said when you die, he didn't say anything about going to hell. That was invented 200 years later. He said when you die, it's over until the final judgment. So if you died in the year 1200 BC, you got about you might have a 5,000 year wait until the final judgment. But you're not walking around. You're not, you're basically asleep. As a matter of fact, there's a scene in the Bible where Saul, I
Are
think,
you serious, Jen?
Yeah,
there it is.
here, I'll play it. Let me go back. Let me get there and play.
Who the hell did this?
Just wait. It was on the Grammys. See that? Isn't that lovely? I don't know what he was saying. I don't have any idea what he was saying, but
I bet Madonna was jealous that she didn't get to do that.
oh, did you see how awful she looked?
Yeah, she looks like a Catwoman.
Why would she do that to herself? So what was this show? And you know what the sad part about this was? At the end, it was sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah, you know what? Pfizer's in the middle of a lot of this demonic stuff. They really are. So when they want
That's
to take,
ridiculous. Oh my
when they
God.
want you to take the mark, which will be a chip implant for all your medical records, guarantee it's going to be Pfizer.
Now, Madonna looked like she was something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, you go back. You remember the movie Gargoyles back in like the late '80s? Gargoyles.
Yeah.
Madonna's face looked exactly like those.
Like,
gargoyles.
why?
The
Why did she do that to herself?
To get rid of the wrinkles is what they do.
That's not getting rid of winkles.
Wrinkles. They Botox the cheeks and the mouth, the lips, and
why? She looks like a freaking monster.
I think it's terrible.
To pull a picture of her.
Nicole Kidman did that also, and it's not as pronounced, or she's got a different shaped face, a thinner face. But I look at her and I don't even know it was Nicole Kidman. It looks like a totally different person.
Why do they don't look pretty? Embrace your freaking age, first of all.
Because, the thing in Hollywood was once a woman got into her 40s, she was done. And these women are in their 60s now, and they're trying to stay relative,
Hold on. I'm sorry. Excuse me, John, but this Michael Anthony, he says they are throwing it in our faces. She was representing the new satanic statue that was placed on the courthouse in New York City.
Oh, my God.
Well, that could be. I mean, New York City's the epicenter of a lot of this crap, the godless people.
Let me show you this picture. This is probably not a really good picture because that's not it.
But she always had a mind. She always did what she wanted to do, Jen. So
I know that, but she's so creepy ass. I mean, doesn't her family tell her that she looks really bad?
Who's she going to
who's
listen?
going to tell her that?
Yeah, she's going to. Hey, Shawn.
She has a family.
Yeah,
she
Dennis
has children.
Dennis Rodman.
Oh,
he's a bigger weirdo than she is.
Dennis Rodman. Oh my God! Thank
Look
you,
at that
UFO
face.
John.
Look at her.
Thank
Look
you.
at her eyebrows. No, come on.
Thank
They're
you,
like
John.
pointed like a witch.
That picture makes her look fairly decent. Find a picture that's a close up and a little bit of a side angle. I'm telling you, she looks like from the movie The Gargoyles.
The gargoyles.
Yeah, bring up a still of the gargoyle, and you'll look at her face. It's the same
Oh
thing.
God, I don't even. She's just so many creepy ones.
But this is not. They did this. Think about this. They did that, right? 6 months ago, didn't Joe Biden give a speech with the same red background, this fiery Nazi-like speech with the banners, and he was talking about blood and all these other things. I mean, look at that face. Oh my God, look at that. Holy Moses! You wouldn't know that was her.
No. What's the purpose of doing that to your face?
She's
Seriously,
wait.
she got her cheekbones are like, I don't even know how they do that. They put like fillers in here. I
Well,
mean,
they
I'm
put-
gonna be 60 years old, and I could use some work, but I'm not gonna do it. First of all, it wouldn't look like me anywhere.
Real quick, let's get off of Madonna for a minute. Michael Anthony said, John, keep in touch. I'll promote the hell out of this for you guys. Thank you for allowing me to share.
We'll send him the link after the show.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He does the same type of interviews. Like I said,
And he's
2 hours and 43 minutes was my interview.
And he said, go to Michael Anthony, go to his page. You'll find the comparison.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to do that. Maybe we can get Michael on the show. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll get.
Oh,
Michael
you know
on the
what?
show.
That would get Michael on the show because I have to start campaigning now. Get Michael to be on the show. He'll give you a good interview.
Oh,
Okay, we'll have to
cool.
get
Are
him
you
on
up
the show.
for it, Michael? Would you like to come on? Let's see if he's still around.
He's
That would be
there.
great.
Well, keep his contact information and reach out to him.
Now, there's just so many stuff going on, and I follow David Paulides on his Canaan project.
Yeah.
And I could listen to him. I would love to get him on. Actually, I was talking to one of his publicists when it was a while ago. That's when we were still on Skype. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
And he just, maybe I can go find his contact information again and try to talk and see if we can get him on. I know he's so busy with interviews for his movie. It's so hard.
I tried to get him for the Philly conference, and
You can't do it.
I upped the speaker's fee, and he said I'm very politely declining.
He wants more money.
Oh, he's getting $1,000 each gig now, so we can't pay that.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I don't see why people want fees like that. I remember when Mike Barra wanted money. I said no. Finally, I got it. How many times was he on? Twice.
Oh, about 3 times.
Yeah, he's
We
so
had him.
busy going all over the place.
Yeah, we had him on the. He came to Philly a long time ago. That was 2015. He came to the Philly conference and he spoke.
I think he's a great speaker.
He gave a presentation on these objects on Mars and the moon. These
Yeah,
rock
we
formations.
we talked about that
Yeah.
on the show that one time he was on the show.
I tell you
Please
what,
get that picture off.
I'm trying.
You can't get it off now. When you bring up the show next week, that's coming up.
I have nightmares. Oh, nightmares.
I didn't buy the Mike Bauer presentation.
Night, Michael.
No.
On the structures on the Mars and Moon. They look like rock structures to me. I didn't
Well,
see
the
what-
pictures we had, they look like actual things. I mean, I don't know if he fixed them or played with them.
Yeah.
There was a moon base. There was some kind of an alien statue or something.
I don't know. I don't think there's life on
Definitely.
Mars.
No, I think there's life on the moon. I think there's moon bases.
I think if there is anything, there's a base on the far side of the moon. I do.
Yeah, I do.
I do think
But
that.
not on Mars. I don't believe that crap.
Or it could be Mars. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wait,
You have an ice cap on Mars, so if you need water, hydrogen, oxygen, right, water, it's there. You know, I read a book about colonizing Mars, and they would try to land the ship as close to that glacier, that ice cap, so they could get the water. They could break it down to hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen for the ship, hydrogen for power. Makes a lot of sense, you know.
True.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. I'm trying to go back to all the shows we had and see if we can get some of these guests that were really good guests to come back for 2023. It seems like a lot of them are just not. Their contact information is gone. But
Yeah,
last week's show, we had a lot of views on that.
Yeah.
On the repeats on SoundCloud.
It'd be interesting to see if this one breaks 1 million.
Well, it was on. It's supposed to be being. I have it set for Roku right now. So if you have a Roku device, you can see if we're on there. I don't know if it replays the live stream or not, but I do have them.
But
it is being.
I think we had 988,000
Yes, we
viewers
did.
for
Yep.
Daryl Sims.
Yep.
So Travis is a bigger name. We should have hit 1.2 again. because we hit 1 million a couple of weeks in a row 6 months ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping we did break some. I was surprised that there wasn't as many people listening tonight, even though we got so many people watching the event. We
Well,
got 6,000.
Isn't the State of the Union
State
on
of the
tonight?
Union.
It's
Yeah.
not on until 9:00.
Still, they're probably buying barf bags.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not watching it. Sorry,
I'm not
he
either.
isn't too embarrassing. I can't.
Yeah, I'm
And it's
curious.
really after his nap. I mean, it's really it's after. It's pretty late for him. 9:00.
Are they going to have the red background again?
I don't know. I might watch it just to see because
I'm not going. I won't give them the ratings. I deliberately don't watch it because I won't give
does
them
that
the
really
ratings.
go? Do they still do the Nelson readings? I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
Yes,
years
they do.
ago.
Yes.
I got that little
Yes, they
envelope.
do.
They paid me some money to watch stuff, but I
Well,
don't know.
they know from the TV and the cable box how many people have turned that channel on.
Do they really know?
Yeah, they know 1 million people, 5 million people. I mean, the Yellowstone TV show. I mean, they're getting like 10 million viewers.
Shit, Yellowstone. I love that
It's
show.
#1. But you see, Costner is kind of giving them. They have a busy schedule, and he says, "I'm not working that many shows." So I think you're going to see shows where he's not in it.
You
It's going to
think?
be, yeah. He said, "I'm not doing 20 episodes." He wants to do about 8 and be seen. And
Well, that's stupid. I mean, if he doesn't want to be, they'll get rid of him and get the new John Dutton.
How are you going to replace him?
I don't know because
Why do you even watch that crap? God.
It's a great show.
Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone.
Are you kidding? Well, here, get this. It's the #1 watched show by conservatives because it's the way this country was. It's the way it used to be, the Old West. They're not high on these environmentalists and all that. I'm telling you, I read that. It's the #1 show watched by conservatives because there's nothing woke in that show.
I like it. I watch it. I watched 1883. I'm watching 1930 something, 32. I'm not sure. I'm not really crazy with the one.
Honey, you're
Paramount
just
Plus.
watching the shows because of the good-looking cowboys.
Well, I do have the hots for Kevin Costner. I'm not going to lie, but that's I've always loved Kevin. But the other one, 1920, was it 1932? What is it? Somebody help me. Is it 1932?
Yeah, I think that was
Harrison Ford. He's terrible.
He's old.
He's terrible as Dutton.
When you get to, there's a point when you get your late 70s, around 80, where you all of a sudden thin out, like you lose all that body fat and you get emaciated. I mean, Bill Burns. If you see Bill Burns right now, you wouldn't recognize him.
I don't even know. I haven't seen him. I thought he was dead.
No.
Oh, that Bill Burns. Never mind.
We brought him into Pittsburgh for the last couple of years. But I tell you what, the part with that show was the guy over in Africa. Who is it? Was he one of the grandsons or something?
I think, yeah. I didn't like that scene where they were killing the elephant.
I didn't see that. The leopard.
The leopard ate that lady.
Yeah, the 2 leopards.
I didn't like it, and I didn't understand that scene at all.
But I thought it was cool that he was the big game hunter over in Africa, Well,
I don't like game hunting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I don't know if he was destined to come back. Don't tell me what happens because
I turned it off last night because I had it on last night and it got too late. I was watching too many of them.
But just the way the guy worked it. He did Yellowstone, and then he had the idea of doing prequels now. They wait until it goes off the air, and then you get a prequel.
That was a good idea.
He did prequels.
It reminded me the scene with the African scene with his grandson. It reminded me of the scene with his son, John Dutton's son, with the Indians and the wolf. And it seemed like it was too much of a. It was too like he was just all he was doing was repeating that storyline and making it in Africa with his weird wife. I see now the wife in Yellowstone. I think the Indian lady is a senseless story. I don't think it. Why do they even talk? Who cares? I think that whole story with his wife and his son with the wolf and the Indian. It seems like.
Well, you
And
got to
she-
remember, Costner did Dances with Wolves,
Yeah, I know.
and
I know.
he's pro Native American.
Yeah,
so
I know.
he's going to show them in a positive light.
Well, it wasn't so much. It was like about her pregnancy and about her
Yeah.
baby. It was like, give me a break. I don't want to hear about it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
I think it's a stupid part. They could do the whole story without it.
I think I like Beth and
She's getting too angry.
yeah, and the boyfriend. I can't think of his name, but
Rip. I think that's
Rip.
just
Yeah, Rip is
she-
probably my favorite. You know,
that stupid fighting scene with her fighting in the bar is like,
Yeah.
why? I mean, come on, that's enough, Beth. We know
If-
you're a bitch. We know you're a bitch. We don't need to
Oh
see it
my
again.
God, you sound like a couple little hens. Oh my God, you sound like you're watching the Days of Our Lives.
Oh,
and
Days of Our
freaking Yellowstone.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
If we're sending
Sean.
Days of Our Life fans, they have the Devils back in town. So I
Yeah.
just thought I'd.
but Sean, Rip is the way movies used to be. It's like if you mess with him, he's going to punch you out. And you know that's the way movies used to be in the fighting, and he's very good at it, and he doesn't lose. You know?
Yeah,
So
but-
I look forward to when Rip goes into a bar and stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have Stan Gordon on the show next week. So
All right, tell him I said hello.
to recap,
Are you going to be on, John?
No, I start campaigning starting the 11th. Actually, my whole campaign starts kicking off.
Stan
Good luck to
Gordon?
you, pal.
Yeah, really. Good luck to you. Is Stan
Can you
Gordon
guys
having?
Can
Huh?
you guys get me? Can you guys get me signatures in Westmoreland County? Campaign signatures?
I don't know how I get them. I don't go out.
Oh.
So
No, that don't help.
no, that don't help. I'm kind of a recluse.
Unless you have a big family that lives with you there on your.
I do
ranch.
have a big family, but we do. Well, not real big, but it's big enough. I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? Totally lost my concentration here. Okay, so we do have Stan Gordon. It's really hard to do Stan because he doesn't use StreamYards, which I don't know why. It's so easy.
Doesn't he have a computer?
He does. He just doesn't know how to do it. I try to
Come on,
explain.
wait. This guy worked in the electronics department at Sears. That's what he did. He's got to know how to do this.
I don't know. He doesn't know how to do it. So
If Travis Walton, I just talked him into how to do it. I was on the phone. If he could do it, Stan Gordon could.
they
do
like to. I think the older guys like to use the phone. They like to call in and they like to do it that way.
Well, he could do it on his phone if he's got a smartphone.
Yeah. See, I don't have I have to set up my speakers so you could hear him.
Well,
So-
I took 3 shows from my hotel room on my phone.
I know.
Yeah, they were fine. It was clear as a bell.
Oh, how did you do it?
I got onto Facebook on my phone.
Well, he doesn't probably have a smartphone. He probably has an analog phone.
Who knows?
So-
Well, tell him to ask his alien friends for some technology, and
You're
they'll give him a phone
You're
that actually
bad.
works.
Stop it. You're
And
bad.
it'll work.
You're bad,
Okay.
John.
And,
Well,
tell him I said it was a spy satellite, just like the China.
For
balloon.
everybody listening, he has a little rough with Stan, but Kecksburg.
Because
So
I
that's-
explained it.
I know you did. I know you did.
All
But
right.
he's gonna be on the show next week. So we have some interesting guests in the next few weeks. So if you think you'd be a good guest for the show, please let us know. But thank you so much for tuning into Chasing Prophecy. We'll see you next week, same time, same
Good night.
channel. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hasta la vista, baby.